Good day everyone, I'm Sari Pablo Samad and I'm with Aprilline Alipan to discuss to you about the forms of business organization. But what is business organization? A business organization is the single most important choice you make regarding your company. What form your business adopts will affect a multitude of factors, many of which will decide your company's future. That is why aligning your goals to your business organization type is an important step, and so understanding the pros and cons of each type is really crucial. And your company's form will affect how your tax, your legal liability, cost of formation, and operational costs. And there are four main types of business organization: sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation, and cooperative. Let's begin with sole proprietorship. It is the simplest and most common form of business ownership. Sole proprietorship is a business owned and run by someone for their own benefit. The business existence is entirely dependent on the owner's decisions, so when the owner dies, so does the business. Apparently, it is a business structure owned by an individual who generally has full control and authority over the business. The business owner is referred to as the sole proprietor and exclusively owns all assets and profits of the business. He or she is also personally liable for all the debts and losses that the business might incur. One of the biggest sole proprietorship business was the Coca-Cola. In 1892, Asa Candler became the sole proprietor of Coca-Cola after purchasing the rights to the business. Not until 1919, where Ernest Woodruff and a group of investors purchased the company from Candler and his family. That is why Coca-Cola is now a corporation. Let's proceed to the advantages of sole proprietorship. All profits are subject to the owner, means he or she owns every single income that the business is earning. Next, there is very little regulation for proprietorship. Third, owners have total flexibility when running the business. And lastly, there is very few requirements for start, often only a business license. Let's move on to the disadvantages of the sole proprietorship. First, owner is 100% liable for business debts, meaning he or she is the only one responsible for all the debts of the business. Next, equity is limited to the owner's personal resources. Why? Because he or she is the only one who owns it. Third, ownership of proprietorship is difficult to transfer. It has no one to share or transfer the ownership to. Lastly, there is no distinction between personal and business income. This is the biggest challenge of any sole proprietor, especially when you are still starting the business. Now let us proceed to the partnership. Partnership come in two types: the general and limited partnerships. First, what is general partnerships? It is both owners invest their money, property, labor, etc. to the business and are both 100% liable for business debts. In other words, even if you invest a little into a general partnership, you are still potentially responsible for all its debt. General partnership does not require a formal agreement. Partnerships can be verbal or even implied between two business owners. That is why it's risky to start this kind of business. And general partners have unlimited liability and have full management control of the business. While limited partnerships, it requires a formal agreement between the partners. They must also file a certificate of partnership with the state, and it allows partners to limit their own liability for business debts according to their portion of ownership or investment. Even though it is a partnership, you'll get the assurance of security in this kind of business. However, compared to general partners, limited partners have little to no involvement in management, but also have liability that's limited to their business investment amount in the limited partnership. Now we're going to move on to the advantages of partnerships. First, shared resources provides more capital for the business. Second, each partner shares the total profits of the company. Third, it has similar flexibility and simple design of a proprietorship. And lastly, inexpensive to establish a business partnership, formal or informal. Next, the disadvantages of partnerships. First, each partner is 100% responsible for debts and losses. So even though you have little investment into this kind of partnership, you are still responsible for its debt. Second, selling the business is difficult. It requires finding a new partner. And lastly, partnership ends when any partner decides to end it. This is the hard part of every limited partnership businesses. Since both of you and your partner is responsible for this business, either both of you decides to end this, the partnership ends as well. The other two forms will be further discussed by Miss Aprilline Alipan. That will be all for my report, and thank you for listening.